Hi everyone, I'm Claire. Welcome to your practice. So today we're going to have a nice short flow, but it's going to focus a little bit more on strength than you might have done before. So please just work within your limits, take a break when you need to, and just try to do everything mindfully and perhaps a little bit slower than you might normally do. We're going to start off lying down on your backs in Shavasana. Feet can come towards the front of the mat, head towards the back. Take a moment to get comfortable. You can either have the legs straight out, or if you prefer, you can have your feet at the edges of your mat, knees dropping together. So whichever version with the legs you prefer. And then to begin this practice, just allow your body to switch off. And then just really check in again and ask yourself what else you can turn off. What muscles are engaging right now that don't need to be? Where can you soften? So in this practice today, we're going to be turning on a lot of muscles. So it's also important that we can really turn things off. Let the full weight of your body feel heavy on the floor. Start to deepen your breath, but send the breath into the outside edges of your lungs or your rib cage. Feel like you are getting a little bit wider through the chest with every breath. And then see if you can send a few breaths into the back of the rib cage, the back of the lungs. And see if you can almost feel that increase in pressure into the floor. Settle into a pattern of breath that feels natural to you. But it's also a pattern of breath that you're really aware of. And as we practice today, see if you can continue to draw some breath into the sides of the lungs and into the back, not just the front. So in this practice, if I speak about the breath, you can draw your mind back to this kind of breathing. Noticing expansion into the sides, noticing expansion into the back body. Okay, from where you are, if you want to set any intention for your practice, then you can do. And then from lying down on your back, we can slowly blink the eyes open. We're going to walk the feet in, bending the knees, as if you were going to come into a bridge pose. But don't have your feet too close to you, they don't need to be. So just slightly further away than your knees is absolutely fine. And then I want you to lengthen your spine as much as you can. So think about pressing more of your spine down onto the mat. Think about the lower back lengthening. And then we're going to lift up into a low bridge. And we're just going to hold it here. So this begins our strength practice today. Starting to press down through the feet into the ground, but not letting the hips come up any higher than a low version of bridge. Again, think about lengthening your lower back, almost feeling like you're sending your tailbone away from you. And we're not going to overcompensate by pushing our hands into the floor. The arms are doing absolutely nothing. Arms are down by the side. We're going to hold it. Eyes can be closed or open. And continue to breathe into the sides of the ribs, into the back of the ribs. As we hold it here, keep pressing down through the mound of the big toe. So the pressure through your foot is really even. And we're going to hold this a bit longer. You might start to feel the glutes power up, you might feel the hamstrings, but keep your lower back as long as you can do. Breath is smooth. For our final few seconds here, if it feels okay to do so, just come onto the heels of the feet. So lift the toes, lift the balls of the feet up just beyond your heels. And then without changing where your pelvis is, imagine you're dragging your heels up towards your head. Keep dragging, hold. Keep your pelvis exactly as it just was. Keep dragging your heels up towards the head. Keep breathing. Breath as well. That should feel like it's firing up. And lower your feet. Roll the back all the way down onto the floor. Bring your knees to the chest. Give them a nice squeeze in. Rock side to side, forwards, backwards. Just a nice release here. And then rock forwards and backwards. And do this 2 or 3 times to really give your spine that massage up and down on your mat. Okay, next time you come up, tabletop position, maybe you just cross the ankles, hands down, and step it back into your tabletop position. Your hands are underneath your shoulder, your knees are underneath the creases of your hips at the tops of the legs. Find a flat spine here and move straight into some cat-cows, so dropping the belly, lifting the head and lifting the tail, and then rounding through the spine, tucking chin into the chest. Inhale as your belly drops, head lifts, tail lifts. Exhale as you round through the spine, chin to the chest. Carry on like this and notice if there is a sense that everything in your spine is even, or whether some parts of your spine are working more than others. And just try to keep every part of the spine involved in this in an even way. Okay, so the next time that you're in cow pose, which is when you are looking up and your belly is down, we're going to hold it here, holding it in your cow pose. And then without looking up, just release your head. Keep your spine as it is, just look down. So your back is still in cow pose, but you've just released the head a little bit. And then we're going to keep our shoulders in cow pose. You might need to move forward if you haven't got the space behind you. Keep shoulders over wrists. Keep your shoulder blades feeling like they're in your cow pose, and just step back into plank. And then avoid puffing up in the shoulders. Keep it here, pull your belly in and hold. Try not to drop the head, keep it up in line with the body. Hold here for 3, 2. Keep your shoulders as they are. Right knee comes back into tabletop. Left knee comes back into tabletop. Take 1 round of cat-cow. Okay, 2 more times. So we're looking to come back into that cow pose. So when we're in cow, we're not puffing up in cat, we're low down in cow. Shoulder blades feel like they're gliding a little bit together. And the head looks straight down at the floor without dropping it. Step back into plank. Pull the lower belly in. Hold your plank. Make sure your shoulders are over the wrists. And then step the right knee in, tabletop. Left knee in, tabletop. 1 round of cat-cow, just in your own time. Okay, 3rd round of plank. So come into cow pose. Head looks down. Step 1 foot back, keep the shoulders the same. Pull in the lower belly, step the 2nd foot back, hold it here. Right knee in, left knee in, 1 round of cat-cow. Okay, come back to your tabletop. And we're going to think like cat-cow, but instead of moving the whole spine, I just want you to move your shoulder blades together and apart. So think about just the shoulder blades. Almost imagine a pencil in between the shoulder blades as they squeeze together. And then think about separating shoulder blades apart. So it's not about your lower back or your head. It's going to feel like your chest is lifting up and down, which is fine. Try and keep everything else as still as possible and just squeeze shoulder blades together. Separate your shoulder blades. So some people call these scapular push-ups. Take a few more. Okay, one more. And then walk your hands slightly further in front. Spread your fingers really wide. So if you're looking at your hands, it should really be that your hands are really taking up some space here. They're not relaxing at all. And then push down through your hands into the floor. Keep lots of weight in the hands. Tuck the toes. Keep the weight in the hands. Lift up to downwards facing dog. Lengthen your spine whilst you're here. Does not matter if your knees are bent. In fact, I encourage it. And really stick your hips up into the air. Pull the belly in. Hold it here. 2 more breaths. Okay, from downwards facing dog, look at your hands. So look at them, keep them flat, glued to the floor, and start to walk your feet in towards your hands. You can bend the knees, but keep your hands glued down. So that might be a lot harder than I'm making it sound. Keep them down on the ground, bend the knees, put your rib cage on your thighs, grab opposite elbows, sway side to side in ragdoll. Drop your hands to the floor. Bring your hands onto the shins and come all the way up to standing at the front of your mat. So we're near the front of the mat, little bit of space in front of you. Feet are either together or they're pretty close together. Stand up nice and tall. Inhale, lift the hands all the way up towards the ceiling. And then grow a little bit taller through the sides of your body. And then bend the knees and fold all the way to the floor. Put your hands flat underneath your shoulders, step back into plank. And notice, are your shoulders puffing up? And can you bring them down? Hold your plank. And then we're going to lower as slowly as possible to the floor. This first round, drop your knees. And then slowly bend your elbows backwards. Slower than you want to go. Slower still. Okay, we come down onto our bellies. Lift into Cobra, so we're dragging the hands backwards, pulling the chest through. Find some length in your spine, looking down at the floor. Push back into downwards facing dog. 3 or 4 deep breaths in. Pulling the belly up, press down with the hands. Remember, your knees are so not important here. We're thinking about length in the spine, energy through the hands and the feet up into the pelvis. Okay, looking forward at your hands, glue them to the floor. You can either hop, handstand, you can walk to the front, however you want to get there. Bend your knees and come all the way up to stand. Take an inhale. Exhale, fold all the way down, step back to plank. Okay, with or without knees this time, we're going to lower slowly. So these slow lowers, we're going to do a lot of them, and they're going to be really key for building some of the strength. Slower than you want to go. Lift into Cobra, undoing the backs of the feet so the tops of the feet are on the floor. Drag the hands backwards, pull the chest through. Think that you're trying to create more length in your spine as well here. Push back into downwards facing dog. Couple of deep breaths. And then you can either step or jump, however you want to get to the front. And come all the way up to standing. Inhale. Exhale, fold down. Step back into plank. Set up your plank pose. And lower with or without knees. Slower than me. That's your challenge. I'm going to try really hard to beat you. Okay. Pull up into Cobra, drag your hands back, pull your chest through, lengthening the spine. Down for downwards facing dog, lift up and back. Take a few breaths. Push through the hands. Notice where the weight is. Is it more in the hands, feet? Is it even? Can you really press down through the hands a little bit more? Step, walk or jump to the front of your mat. And come all the way up. Inhale. Adding on this time, exhale, fold. Step back, plank pose. Lower slowly. Keep slow, keep slow. Cobra or up dog if you prefer. Downwards facing dog, lift the hips. Okay, let's add on from here. So let's lift the right leg up into the air. Just about hip height is absolutely fine. Still get some length. So push the right heel away from you and push down into your hands. And then step right foot all the way through in between the hands at the top. Let's come up to warrior two. So cartwheel your arms. Come all the way up. Relax the shoulders and settle into warrior two. So you don't have to go really deep here. But think about not going into a back bend and sticking the belly out. So zip everything up. Look forwards and breathe. One more breath. And let's reverse the warrior, flip the front palm and reverse leaning backwards. Again, you don't have to lean back very far at all. Keep your hips as they are. And then leaning forwards into side angle. Again, doesn't have to go very far at all. Feel like you're almost trying to get out of the pose, being lifted up instead. And then we're going to cartwheel the hands to the back of the mat. So a big cartwheel of the hands. Hands come down, step back to plank. Lower really slowly to the floor, as slow as you possibly can. Cobra or upwards facing dog, inhale. Exhale, downwards facing dog. From down dog, lift the left leg just as high up as your hip and push through the heel, push through the hands, hold. Step the left foot through in between the hands without lifting the hands. Warrior two, turn the back foot out, come all the way up. So trying not to lift the hands is going to really help over time. So keep trying that with every pose that we do. Warrior two, settle in, look forward, left middle finger. Feel like you're trying to point your tailbone a little bit more towards the floor. Reach forward, just flip that front palm and then reverse your warrior. Again, nothing too far. Feel like you're trying to lift back up out of this pose and then lean forward, side angle. And again, no sense of collapsing. Feel like any second now you're just going to lift up out of the pose. Cartwheel your hands to the front of the mat. Step back, plank. Lower slowly. Slower than you want to go. With or without knees, you can always put the knees down. Cobra or up dog. Downwards facing dog. From down dog, lift the right leg up high. This time, crescent lunge, so step the right foot through, in between your hands, trying not to lift your hands. Come all the way up into your lunge. Bending both knees, getting a tall spine. And then in this lunge, we're just going to pulse up and down. So it can be tiny or it can be quite big. Just see how it feels. Try to keep your upper body out of it. And a lot of this is just coming with that back leg. From here, bring your hands to prayer, bring them down to your heart center. Coming into warrior three, so push your weight down into the right foot, lean forwards, And we're going to keep a bent knee for this warrior three. So right knee is bent, left leg lifts up. You can either keep your hands in prayer or you can just lean them just above the right knee, keeping it nice and bent. So keep a bend in the standing leg. And then see if you can bend it even more. And we're going to pulse it here. So tiny little pulses with the right leg, up and down. The rest of the body is staying the same. Might be wobbly. Come up to stand on the right leg, slowly. Bring the left knee up into the chest. Pause. Take a moment to really stand up tall. Squeeze the right glute in. And then take your right hand to your left knee. Hold it here. Open up your left arm behind you like you're reaching to the other side of your mat. And if you want to, you can look in that direction, or you can just open your chest a little bit to the side into a twist. Half moon pose from here. So we're going to send that left leg back up into the air, maybe hand on the hip, right hand to the floor or a block. And then squeeze your belly in. And let's come back into warrior two. Bend the standing knee, lift up into warrior two and settle in. Pull the lower belly in, tailbone points towards the floor, relax the shoulders, look forwards and reverse your warrior. Come all the way back up, lean forward, side angle. We're not actually leaning, it just looks like we are. We're trying to lift back up out of it. Cartwheel to the back of the mat, step back plank. Lower, slower than me. Even with the knees down, lower really slow. Cobra or upwards facing dog. Downwards facing dog. From down dog, lift the left leg. Step it through in between the hands at the top without lifting your hands up. So that will be difficult, but keep working on it. Come all the way up. Crescent lunge. We're going to bend the back knee. So we're not doing this feeling of sticking the belly out and back bending. That is different. We're going to try and zip everything up instead. Lift your arms up. Back knee is bent, and then we're just going to pulse with the back leg. If it's easy, go a little bit lower. Warrior three, we bring the hands to prayer. Down to heart center. We're going to shift weight into the left foot. Bent knee, warrior three. So the standing leg is going to stay bent. You can always interlace your fingers just above the knee to keep it bent and to keep a little bit of support. Lift the right leg up, or you can have your hands in prayer. If you're wobbling, good. There's no such thing as perfect balance. It doesn't exist. So embrace the wobbles. And then bend and not straighten. We're definitely not going to lock this knee out, but we're just doing micro little bends with the left knee, the standing knee. Half moon from here. No, it's not. That's a total lie. We're going to lift up. We're going to bring the right leg up into the air. And then we're going to take left hand to right knee. We're going to catch our balance here. We're going to be squeezing that left glute. If you're unsure, put your right fingers on your left glute and say switch on. Because sometimes we need to touch a muscle to check, to see if it's turning on. And touching it will help. Right arm reaches back behind you. And if you want to, you can change your eyesight to the back hand, or you can just turn the chest. Now we're going to go to half moon. So weight is in the left leg, right leg comes up into the air. Left hand to the floor or a block, or whatever you've got. It doesn't have to be a block, whatever you've got around your house. And then we're just going to open up the hips. No feeling of collapsing. Everything is a feeling of lifting up out of the floor. Right arm can reach for the ceiling if you want it to. Warrior two, bend the left leg. Right foot comes down behind you. Woo. Don't fall over. Settle into warrior two, bend that left knee. And again, don't worry about going really deep. Just feel like you're not sticking the belly out. You're not coming into a back bend. You're keeping everything zipped up into the middle. Reverse your warrior leaning onto the back leg. Left fingertips will paint the ceiling. Relax the head. Come all the way forward, side angle. Again, that sense that you could just come out of this pose any second, like you're trying to be lifted up. Cartwheel your hands to the front of the mat, step back to plank. Hold your plank. Put the weight in the right hand, lift the left arm up, side plank. Now you can always put your right knee on the floor if you want to. If you're putting your right knee down, lift the left leg for an extra challenge. Or stack the feet one on top of the other and hold here, side plank. Relax your neck. Opposite side, left hand down. Match what you did on the first side. Get your shoulder over the wrist and side plank, with or without the knee down. Still breathing into the rib cage. Both hands down, set up that plank pose and lower as slow as you can. Elbows are pointing backwards, slowly, and this time we're going to stay down on the belly. Drop your forehead down onto the mat, take your fingertips just off the side. And then almost like you're dragging your fingertips backwards, start to lift head and chest and feel like you're pulling again through your arms. And lower back down. Hands come down to the floor, push back to plank and downwards facing dog, lift the hips. Pause in down dog, 3 deep breaths. And then from down dog, walk your hands all the way to your feet at the back of the mat. Bend the knees here at the back and just find a ragdoll pose, sway side to side. Drop your hands towards the floor and slowly roll up through your spine. Come to standing at the back of the mat. Take a big step forward with your right foot. Open up into a wide-legged position. Hands come up into the hinges at your hips. Get nice and tall, and then these creases are going to start to move backwards. Fingers feel like they're going to get trapped in the creases as you lean forwards. Hands can come onto the floor. They don't need to go very far underneath you. They can stay down on the ground. Feel like you're almost pulling your chest through your arms, and just have a little wiggle side to side. If you prefer to stay still here, then you can do. You don't have to move side to side. Just whichever one you prefer. But I'd rather you had bent knees and a straight spine, or thinking about straight spine at least, than having a really, really rounded spine here. So if you're really hunched over, just bend your knees and straighten up the spine and just stay there. You're probably going to feel it a little bit more. Okay, from here, walk your hands towards your right foot, the foot at the front of the mat. We're going to bring the left foot forwards, take it through, slide it forwards, and sit down. So let's find a twist from here. We've got the left leg forwards. The right foot is just on the floor. Right hand behind the back. Left arm just hugs the knee in towards you. Get really tall. You're really going to flex that left foot, and remember it, because when you look away from the left foot, you might forget about it and it might go to sleep. So keep it flexed, switched on, and then we're just going to turn the head, but it's not really about the head, it's about spinning the rib cage. So spin that rib cage. And let's just swap over second side. left foot in, right foot straight. The right foot is flexed. The right elbow hugs around the left knee. Get tall and spin the ribs. Release. Bring both feet in, about hip distance apart, just a little bit further away than your knees. Hands come behind you. Fingers are pointing to your own body. And make sure your hands are going to be underneath the shoulders. We're going to lift up into a reverse table. Hold it here, looking down at your knees, and try and lift your glutes up. As if you're trying to really push the glutes up towards the ceiling. And then lower your hips to the floor. Take them towards your heels. Release your arms carefully. Bring the knees into the chest. Give them a really big squeeze in. And a rock side to side. And then you can either release the legs straight out in front of you, like the beginning. You always have the other option of having your feet on the edges of the mat, knees together. So whichever one feels like you're really grounding down in the bottom of your spine. Palms are facing up, hands down by the sides. Close your eyes. And let's just take a short Shavasana here. How quickly can you switch off any engagement of your muscles? Think about your face, jaw, neck, shoulders, hands, feet. Every part of your body just giving in now to the floor. You can stay for longer if you've got the time. Otherwise, just take your time to bring some movement back to the body. Maybe take some stretches. Maybe draw the knees to the chest. With your eyes closed, come up to seated position, any seated position that works for you, so don't worry too much about it. Just anywhere where your spine can be taut so that you can breathe. Bring your hands to prayer at your heart center. It's so important that we are strong, that we can carry our own bodies, that we can carry objects that we might need to carry. And through this practice, we can really build that strength. We don't necessarily need to be lifting anything other than our own bodies if we do it really well. And if you struggled with this, just keep coming back to it. And you'll notice how quickly that strength improves. It's not necessarily that important in the practice itself, but in your everyday life, strength is vital. It's vital for us to live a healthy life. Thank you so much for joining me. Namaste.